Hello everyone, I am here with Megan. She is a travel advisor and I'm very thankful for you to sit down with me and answer some of my questions.
Absolutely.
So our first question is, how did you become a travel advisor? What inspired you? And what are ways, if there's other people who want to be one, how are ways to become one?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually started in the travel space in college. I fell in love with helping people and making their dreams come true, quote unquote. I worked for Disney for a few years. And then I moved on to work for Hyatt hotels. Mm-hmm. But then my dad actually got very, very ill with esophageal cancer. And as one does when you get to end of life, you reflect back on your life. And so as I was helping him with different doctor's appointments and things, spending time with him, trying to crunch as much time together as we could, he always went back to 2 trips. One was Disney, where we spent a year at Disney just every month going up for a long weekend, being based in Florida. And then one was an Alaskan cruise. And just seeing the smile on his face and saying, oh, you know, do you remember this? Do you remember that? Do you remember having so much fun? A travel advisor planned both of those trips. So already being in the space, I was working as a general manager. I decided to take that experience and I wanted to curate that for more guests globally, because I was already curating it for my guests in my hotel. But this way I can help more people on a global scale.
Yeah. And did you have to go to school exactly for it, or do you take some tests to be certified?
In order to become a travel advisor in the state of Florida, you need to find either a host agency to onboard with, and they have trainings and certification courses, or you can file with the state and get bonded and have insurances and licenses, and then take your courses. But each supplier, like Royal Caribbean or Tahiti Tourism Board, they all have certifications for you to take, and you become a specialist in those areas.
Well, I'm sorry about your father.
Yeah.
But I am very happy that you have those memories with your father, especially the happiest place on earth, Disney, and Alaska. And I've heard so many amazing stories of people going on these Alaska cruises. Mm-hmm. Now, with those 2 trips, do you have any other favorite vacations that you've gone on, whether with your father, now as an adult?
I think one of my favorite trips, my husband and I took to Brazil to meet his family, and it was just a memorable trip, just traveling through the different roads and the windiness. Brazil has a really interesting food culture, so being able to stop off on a highway and have an amazing meal was a really neat experience. And the different culture, it was very, very fun.
Nice. Do you remember your favorite meal there?
You know, I am gonna butcher the name.
I butcher the names for everything all the time, so you are more than welcome to.
But I really love their pão de queijo. I went to Minas Gerais, which is the capital that is known for their cheeses in Brazil. Each state, like Florida, but like the US, is known for different cuisine. Yes. And Minas is very cheese centered. So their pão de queijo is amazing there. If you go to Sao Paulo, you have to get the farofa because that's what they're known for there. So each state has their key. They all eat kind of the same food, but they're known for specific recipes.
Oh yeah, so I do love cheese, so good reason to go there.
It's like a cheese bread. It's so yummy.
A cheese bread. Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
With all the vacations that you've gone on throughout the years, is there a specific place that you've not been to yet and that's your dream vacation?
Yes. Yeah. I would love to go on an Arctic cruise an Arctic expedition to Antarctica. I want to see the penguins. Yeah. And then also to the Arctic to see the polar bears. I love animals, so I'm excited for those 2 trips.
Yeah. What's your favorite animal?
A cat. Cats are my favorite.
I get it. I mean, dogs are my favorite, but I had a cat growing up. It was my brother's cat, but they're nice.
I love them.
Do you have a cat?
I have 2. Yeah. I have 2 cats, and they think they're dogs. They're confused. I love it.
I think I would bond with your cats then.
Yeah.
As you know, we've both been on vacations and not everything goes as planned. Has there been any stories you would like to tell that didn't go as planned?
Yeah, with travel, you have to be a little bit flexible. Things happen.
Yeah.
And just being flexible in the moment. That's why it's really important to have a good travel advisor, because I can help boots on the ground, for example, for my clients. 3 weeks ago, I had a client on a cruise in Italy, and there were storms in the Amalfi coast, so they were not able to dock at the Amalfi coast, and they texted me really disappointed. They were really sad, and I curated their entire itinerary, so I worked out another day later when they would be in Naples to take a boat over to Amalfi coast and see the Emerald Grotto, which is what they really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so they didn't miss out. Also, to have a good travel insurance. So when they got back, we were able to file a claim with the travel insurance to defray the cost of the added excursions that they needed to purchase, which was helpful. So those have been my two top advice.
Now, I didn't know, because I never I never planned a trip with a travel advisor, so I didn't even know that like you can still like actively speak to your travel advisor during vacations. That's
100%. 24/7, I'm available to my clients while traveling. Time differences happen, so if it's in the middle of the night for me, I'll still pick up and assist, and that's what we're here for, to help in those moments.
Yes. Do you have any travel hacks that you'd like to share when it comes to maybe, let's say, booking a cruise? Is there anything specific that you think of?
Yeah, so booking cruises is really fun, and to see online and things, and you can map out your whole ship and everything. One hack that I find is helpful with my clients is to book earlier rather than later. Example, if you know that you want to go to Alaska next year, book it now, place a deposit, because then I can reprice as prices change. So cruises, like hotels, fluctuate prices every single day, it feels like. And so then you know this is the most the cruise will ever be, and then we can reprice as it drops. You just can't reprice after final payment. So if you're looking to get like a last minute deal, once final payments happen, you can't reprice it.
Which makes sense, sense. Now, is there, no matter the destination of a vacation, is there any type of products or essential things that you think everyone should have on them?
Yes, I would recommend always packing like your passport's essential documents, some sort of cash. It doesn't have to be a large quantity, but just some cash in the country's currency would be helpful in case of a pinch and an emergency. Most everyone takes cards nowadays, and there's always an ATM available, but it's helpful in those rare occasions where you need a cash. And then also if you're going to like a Caribbean destination or any water-based destination, a reef safe sunscreen is really important, because it's sometimes hard to find in other countries, and it's important to be environmentally responsible.
So you see a lot in the news, places like Spain where a lot of the locals are not happy when there's so many people traveling to their country. Now, as a travel advisor, when you book these appointments, is that something like that you kind of think of, or is your main focus just wanting your client to have the best experience possible?
I think those go hand in hand. So I wouldn't want my clients to feel uncomfortable in a destination if the locals aren't happy that they're there. With that being said, I work with local partners in each destination. So all my curated trips and travel arrangements are made with a local perspective and input. So I never just book something off of the internet that I see. It's always speaking to a local, knowledgeable expert in that area that's located in that country, and talking talking to them of the wants and interests of my client, and then curating an experience around that.
Oh, I love that. There's a Facebook page that's, I think, called Things to Do in Florida. There's multiple pages like that, I think, for any state anyway, but this specific one I really like because a lot of like the locals of Florida, or just people who live in Florida, post recommendations. People who are coming to Florida ask, you know, what should I do in this area, or just in general Florida. And it's just nice to see, you know, everyone come together and give recommendations, because there's some other websites that are kind of like spams. I'm like, I can't really find exactly what to do, but this specific one I love.
And it's fun. Travel brings a lot of people together,
yes,
right? And there's a lot of collaboration. Another really cool group is Let's Eat South Florida. Michael Mayo from the Sun Sentinel is the moderator of that group. Okay. So if you have a chance, check out that Facebook group.
Oh, I definitely will. I definitely will. So you became a travel advisor after COVID.
Yes.
Now, when you started working with clients, did you feel like people were nervous to go on vacations? If so, how did you help them feel comfortable?
I can actually answer this question best from the hotel's perspective,
yes,
because I was director of rooms for the Hyatt Centric in Fort Lauderdale at the time. So right after COVID, during COVID is when we opened the property, and it was a lot of unknowns. Like, rules were changing, times were changing, laws were changing, all at the same time, and you really had to pivot. And you saw a lot of uncertainty from travelers, and travel advisors played a really important role during that time, because I wasn't, but we were as a whole up to date on all of the changes and advising our clients at the same time. Also, you'd see travel advisors being one of the first boots on the ground traveling after COVID to show their clients that it's safe again to travel, and that they can feel safe and secure. Here are the processes and the procedures. Part of my role is to know what it's like to be in an international airport and what to expect, and be able to apprise that of my client before they travel. And travel advisors played a huge role in that part in COVID. So on the hotel side, just making everyone safe, different protocols in the cleanliness aspect, and having sanitization stations everywhere, and then making people feel as safe as possible as they travel was really, really important.
Yeah. What was your first vacation after COVID?
I went to SeaWorld. That was my first vacation after COVID. My husband and I got married April 2020. So the world was shut down. My honeymoon was canceled, unfortunately. But we made it a point right after everything kind of opened up to go outside. And SeaWorld was an outdoor space, and so we felt comfortable and safe going there. So we went on a weekend trip to Orlando.
That's nice. I imagine when you work with your clients, some people might ask for wild requests, or be like, this is the type of vacation I want. I want to be crazy, amazing. What has been like the wildest vacation or requests you ever got?
So I've had two actually fairly recently. One is a client that's an avid diver. They want to dive the World War II wrecks in the French Polynesian Islands. So I'm currently working on setting that up for them. There's some really cool sites. And then another client came to me and said that they wanted to live like they were in Bridgerton for a week with 20 of their closest friends. So sourcing that property in Sussex has been really, really fun. And just planning that event. I enjoy what I do.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, do you after planning these vacations for people, is there anything you're like, I want to do the exact same vacation?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Giving me some good ideas, and as I source different experts and knowledge based people in the countries, there's people that I click with and enjoy talking to. So yeah, for sure.
It's amazing. I love the Bridgerton one. It's a good show.
It's going to be an amazing trip.
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of jealous. I might request to be their friend so I can join them. Do you have any tips for anyone, for me? Because I'm still on a budget, but to do a budget vacation.
Yeah, depending on where you want to go, I would say maybe if you're wanting to go to Europe, for example, but you don't want to spend a $10,000 on a European vacation, I would say just be flexible with maybe your stay dates, shorten the time period, and then also do more small group travel rather than private tours. Those would be some of my tips and tricks. Also, instead of like a private driver that will take you around, utilizing your train systems, your bus systems, those will all cut down on the overall cost.
Oh yes, I mostly use the tube when I was in London, and the only times I took a taxi, because I went to go see a couple of concerts at the Royal Albert Hall. It was during the proms, so by the time I got out, it was super late, and being a single female, I was like, I want to just take a taxi. I shared my location with my friend or with my parents. Always made sure I was safe in some way. But other than that, I would always use a tube because it was cheaper, and another great way to like just see the town, see the city, and experience that.
100%.
Can you tell me any perks that you like for being a travel advisor?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the perks, as we mentioned, I get to hear all of the ideas and all of the destinations, which help me just become a better travel advisor, but then also helps me plan better vacations for my family. And then also, being a travel advisor, you have familiarization discounted trips to help you sell and be more knowledgeable about a particular area. An example is I'm going to St. Lucia with my husband in August.
Nice.
And while I'm there, I'm going to be touring all of the hotels on the island.
Yeah.
But then also we're going to be able to go on the cocoa tour and learn where cocoa is harvested on the rainforest and how it's made into chocolate. So there's some fun mixed into it as well, but it's definitely important for me to get as much knowledge as possible on these trips.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, is there anything that you like to say to everyone?
I would just encourage everyone to get out there and travel, experience, whether it's budget or luxury, to just go out and explore even your local area. And if you need some advice, feel free to reach out to a travel advisor. I'm the owner and operator of Together We Travel, and I'd be more than happy to assist with your travel plans.
So thank you. I'll definitely put your website down below the link, so definitely check her out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.